Wait a second. Is that Cole standing with Sophie? No, no. Somebody explain this to me. I looked away for 1 second, and now Miss Sophie is practically glued to my man's side. But let me mind my business before Mr. Hope says I'm stirring up trouble again. What's up, Hope Nation family? It's your girl Shayla, and today Mr. Hope and I have another unbelievable story for you. One filled with betrayal, family tension, and lessons that could change the way you look at people forever. Stick around until the end, because trust me, this one takes a turn nobody sees coming. I'll meet you there. The ballroom glowed beneath crystal chandeliers, their light reflecting off polished marble floors. Elegant guests laughed and mingled, but one woman stood frozen near the entrance, fighting back tears she refused to let anyone see. "Winnie, come with me," Sterling said softly. "There's someone I want you to meet." A glamorous woman turned toward them and forced a smile. "Hello, dear. I'm Winnie. I've looked after Sterling since he was a baby." Callista's eyes swept over Winnie from head to toe. "Oh, so you're the woman who raised him." Winnie smiled politely. "Yes, that's unfortunate." The room seemed to pause. "What exactly do you mean by that?" Winnie asked. Callista shrugged. "I mean, look at you. An elderly woman still living off another family's generosity. Most people would find that embarrassing." "Callista," Sterling warned. "What? I'm just being honest." "No, you're being disrespectful," Sterling replied. Callista laughed lightly. "I was only surprised. A housekeeper treated like family? That's not something you see every day." The tension thickened as dinner was announced. Everyone moved toward the dining room until Callista suddenly stopped. "Wait, is she eating with us?" Sterling frowned. "Of course she is." "Really? I assumed she ate with the staff." No one spoke. "Don't worry about me, sweetheart," Winnie said gently.
Welcome to Wild Shadow Tales. Thank you for watching. Stay kind, stay human, and we'll see you very soon for another powerful stories.
But Callista wasn't finished. "It's impressive, honestly. At her age, where else could she go? Do you have any plans for retirement, Winnie? Or is the goal to stay here forever?" The words landed like knives. "Enough," Adelaide snapped. "Winnie is family." "Family?" Callista laughed. "That's a very generous definition." Sterling shifted uncomfortably in his seat, but said nothing. Winnie noticed. Everyone did. As dinner continued, the atmosphere only grew colder. Then suddenly, red wine splashed across Winnie's dress. Gasps echoed around the table. "Oh my goodness," Callista said, though there wasn't an ounce of sincerity in her voice. "How clumsy." Adelaide shot to her feet. "That wasn't an accident." "Relax," Callista replied. "It's only wine." Briar rushed to Winnie's side. "Miss Winnie," but Winnie simply dabbed at her dress. "It's all right." "No, it's not," Briar whispered. Across the table, Sterling remained silent, and that silence hurt more than the wine ever could. Later that evening, Briar found Winnie alone. "You can't keep letting her do this." Winnie smiled sadly. "People reveal who they are through their actions, sweetheart. But Sterling should have defended you." A shadow crossed Winnie's face. "Perhaps." Meanwhile, inside Sterling's room, another argument was brewing. "I think things got out of hand tonight," Sterling admitted. Callista folded her arms. "Excuse me. You could try being a little kinder to Winnie." The look on Callista's face hardened instantly. "You're defending her now?" "I'm not taking sides." "That's exactly what you're doing. She raised me, Callista." "And what? That means she gets special treatment forever?" Sterling said nothing. Callista stepped closer. "Maybe the real problem is that nobody around here knows how to tell her she's overstayed her welcome." The words lingered long after she walked away. The next morning, the house still felt heavy. Every hallway seemed quieter. Every conversation felt forced. Adelaide finally cornered Sterling. "Do you know who disappointed me most last night?" Sterling looked down. "Callista?" "No." He looked up. "You." The answer hit harder than he expected. "You watched someone humiliate the woman who sacrificed her entire life for you." "I didn't want things to escalate." Adelaide stared at him in disbelief. "Things already escalated, Sterling. You just stood there and watched." Her voice softened. "The boy I grew up with would have never allowed that." For the first time, Sterling couldn't defend himself, because deep down, he knew she was right. Later, his father found him sitting alone. You know you're not a cruel man. Sterling nodded. But you're allowing someone else to decide what matters to you. His father sat beside him. If you keep avoiding this, you won't just lose Winnie's trust. Sterling swallowed hard. Then what will I lose? His father looked him directly in the eye. The people who love you most. The warning stayed with him. Hours later, Briar helped Winnie change into fresh clothes. Thank you, sweetheart. Briar shook her head. Aren't you angry? Anger changes very little. But Sterling needs to understand what he's done. Winnie looked toward the garden. If he doesn't understand it himself, no amount of words from me will make a difference. The next morning, Sterling searched the house. Where's Winnie? She's in the garden, Rosalind answered. He found her among the flowers, quietly tending roses as if nothing had happened. Good morning, son, she said warmly. Sterling opened his mouth, then closed it again. The apology wouldn't come. Not yet. Back inside, Rosalind approached him. Young master, may I speak honestly? Of course. This house hasn't felt like home since that dinner. Sterling sighed. I know. No, sir. Rosalind looked at him carefully. You know exactly what's wrong. Silence filled the room. You simply don't want to face it. And for the first time, Sterling realized that everyone in the house already knew the truth. The only person still pretending otherwise was him. I didn't mean for it to happen. Rosalind held Sterling's gaze. If that's true, sir, then tell me what stopped you. Was it carelessness? Or was it fear? The question hit harder than any accusation. Sterling looked away. Rosalind stepped closer. Because if you don't do something soon, you're going to lose the most important person you've ever had in your life. And once she's gone, no apology in the world will bring her back. Meanwhile, upstairs, Briar sat beside Winnie. Please try to rest. Winnie smiled faintly. I'm all right, sweetheart. No, you're not. How can you be? After everything that happened? After he stood there and said nothing? Winnie looked out the window. Do you think I should hate him? Honestly? Yes. Briar's voice cracked with emotion. At the very least, you shouldn't forgive him so easily. Winnie reached over and squeezed her hand. People make mistakes. The real question is whether they learn from them. A heavy silence settled between them. Then Winnie quietly said something that made Briar's heart stop. Maybe it's time for me to leave. What? Briar stared at her. Leave where? Anywhere. Winnie's eyes softened. I devoted my life to raising Sterling. But if there's no place for me in the life he's building now, then perhaps it's time for me to find a life of my own. That's not fair. Briar stood up. After everything you've sacrificed, you're the one who has to leave? But Winnie only smiled sadly. Sometimes the people who give the most are also the first to walk away. Minutes later, Sterling rushed through the house. Has anyone seen Winnie? Adelaide crossed her arms. Why? Does it suddenly matter now? Of course it matters. Then where was that concern when she was being humiliated in front of everyone? Sterling froze. Adelaide didn't let him off the hook. She's thinking about leaving. His face drained of color. Leaving? Yes. And why wouldn't she? You spent days showing her exactly where she stands. The words felt like a punch to the chest. Sterling immediately ran outside. He found Winnie in the garden, packing away a few personal belongings. Miss Winnie. She looked up calmly. What are you doing here, Sterling? Tell me it's not true. What isn't? That you're leaving. Winnie lowered her eyes. Maybe it's time. Sterling shook his head. No, you can't leave. A small smile touched her lips. And why not? Because this is your home. Is it? The question caught him off guard. You've always belonged here. Winnie looked directly into his eyes. If that's true, why did I feel so alone that night? Sterling had no answer. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then Winnie broke the silence. You know what hurt the most? The insults. She shook her head. No. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. It was your silence. Sterling felt every word. The cruel things she said weren't what broke my heart. Tears formed in her eyes. It was watching the boy I raised stand there and say nothing. His chest tightened. I'm sorry. I'm not angry, Sterling. That somehow felt worse. I'm disappointed. The words shattered him. Please don't leave. Winnie smiled sadly. You're a grown man now. You don't need me. That's not true. His voice cracked. You're part of who I am. Then why didn't you protect me? The question lingered in the air. Sterling couldn't answer, because there was no excuse. Briar suddenly stepped forward. Miss Winnie, please don't go. Winnie looked at her affectionately. Sterling can take care of himself now. No, he can't. Briar pointed directly at him. He couldn't even stand up for you. Sterling lowered his head. If she matters to you, Briar continued, then prove it. Her eyes filled with tears. Because if you don't do something right now, you're going to lose her forever. Finally, Sterling stepped forward. Miss Winnie. His voice trembled. I failed you. The words came out slowly. I should have defended you. I should have stopped it. Instead, I stood there and watched. Tears burned in his eyes. I'm sorry. For the first time, Winnie saw genuine regret. But she simply touched his cheek. Some lessons can't be taught, son. Sterling looked confused. Winnie smiled. You have to discover them for yourself. At that exact moment, fate decided to reveal a truth no one expected. Later that afternoon, Sterling walked past the sitting room when he heard laughter. Callista. Curious, he stopped outside the door. And what he heard next changed everything. I wish you could have seen her. More laughter erupted, standing there covered in wine, looking completely pathetic. Her friends burst out laughing. Callista wiped tears from her eyes. Almost felt sorry for her. More laughter. Almost. Sterling's stomach dropped. The wine hadn't been an accident. The humiliation had been intentional. Every second of it. His hands clenched into fists. Then Callista delivered the final blow. Honestly, that old servant should be grateful anyone lets her stay in that house. The room exploded with laughter again. Sterling pushed the door open. The sound stopped instantly. Callista's smile vanished. Oh, you're home. We need to talk. Something in his tone made everyone nervous. Can this wait? No. The room fell silent. What were you saying about Winnie? Callista rolled her eyes. Oh, come on. It was a joke. A joke. His voice grew colder. You think mocking the woman who raised me is funny? For the first time, Callista looked uncomfortable. Why are you acting like this? Because I'm finally seeing you clearly. Her expression hardened. Seriously? You're choosing her side? If you can't respect Winnie, you don't belong in my life. The room went silent. What? You heard me. Callista laughed nervously. You're joking. I'm not. Her smile disappeared. You're ending our engagement because of a maid? Sterling stepped closer. No. His eyes locked onto hers. I'm ending it because of the kind of person you've shown yourself to be. Callista stared in disbelief. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. Tears filled her eyes. But I love you. Sterling shook his head. No. His voice was calm. I don't think you're capable of loving anyone except yourself. The words landed like a slap. The engagement is over. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not realizing the truth sooner. Word spread through the mansion within minutes. For the first time, everyone felt hope. But Callista wasn't done. The next morning, she stormed back into the house. You're making a huge mistake. Sterling barely looked at her. I don't think so. You overreacted. I don't think so. You'll calm down. No. Callista's frustration exploded. I did everything for you. You humiliated someone who loved me like her own child. Because I love you. No. Sterling's voice echoed through the room. You did it because you wanted control. Callista laughed bitterly. She's just a servant. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Don't ever call her that again. Why? Because she's family. Callista stared at him. Then she realized she had lost. For good. You need me. No. Sterling stood. For the first time in my life, I know exactly what I need. And what's that? People who actually care. His eyes hardened. The wedding is canceled. Callista's face twisted with rage. I'll destroy you. Do whatever you want. I'll go to the media. Go. I'll ruin your reputation. Sterling shrugged. Then everyone will finally hear the truth. For a moment, neither moved. Then Sterling pointed toward the door. Leave. Security escorted her out minutes later. And just like that, the chapter was over. Or so everyone thought. That evening, Sterling found Winnie. Without warning, he dropped to one knee. Please forgive me. Winnie looked startled. You don't need to do that. Yes, I do. His voice broke. I'll let you suffer. Tears streamed down his face. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure it never happens again. Then he handed her a small box. What is this? A gift. Winnie smiled. You don't owe me anything. I owe you everything. She opened the box slowly. Inside was a deed. A beautiful cottage overlooking a lake. A place she had once dreamed about, but never believed she'd have. Winnie's hands trembled. Sterling, you spent your life taking care of me. His eyes filled with tears. Now it's my turn to take care of you. That night, the family gathered for a special dinner. Sterling stood and raised his glass. This isn't just a celebration. The room grew quiet. It's a thank you. Every eye turned toward Winnie. I spent years chasing status, appearances, and approval. His voice wavered. But none of those things matter. He looked directly at Winnie. The people who love us without expecting anything in return. They're the real treasure. Applause filled the room. And for the first time in a very long time, Winnie smiled without sadness. Months later, the garden bloomed brighter than ever. Sterling knelt beside Winnie, planting flowers. She laughed. The boy I raised is gardening now. He smiled. I finally learned to appreciate the important things. Winnie looked at him proudly. You've changed. I had a good teacher. Then he handed her a second set of keys. What are these? The cottage is finished. Tears filled her eyes. You really bought it for me? Sterling nodded. You deserve peace. You deserve happiness. Winnie hugged him tightly. And you'll always be part of my life? Sterling smiled. No. She looked confused. He squeezed her hand. Not part of my life. His voice softened. You're my family. And this time, nobody doubted it. Not even Sterling. And that's where the real lesson begins. When someone loves you without conditions, don't wait until they're walking away to realize their value. Because apologies can heal wounds, but they can't always bring people back once they're gone.